A black swan event has struck the market, completely destroying any bullish outlooks I had just the other day. Unfortunately, this is what we are dealing with now. You can see here that there is the threat of war. It looks like from the reports that Iran is expected to make a strike and potentially enter a war with Israel, and has made threats towards the United States against getting involved in that conflict. And that has caused all markets to tumble. Today, in fact, there was a seizure of an Israeli-linked container ship by Iranian forces near the Strait of Hormuz. And that also caused, just a few hours ago, another significant drop in the crypto market, since the crypto market is still open today. So that's been pretty intense. Also, the news channels are ramping up the war talk here. You can see this just came out a couple hours. Russian state television wants Moscow to conquer 3 U.S. states. To that, I say, good luck. Crying. That's obviously just rhetoric, and obviously couldn't happen, not easily anyways, not without severe punishment for the attempt. Let's see, let's take a look here. Also, Putin issues warning. Now, this came out 9 hours ago. Putin issues warning to the West after testing mysterious nuclear missile. Like, this is clearly all just the news drumming up the fear. So we're not afraid on this channel because there's really nothing to be afraid of. Honestly, war news always causes the market to drop, and then it swiftly recovers from that drop, not too far into the future. And if this really truly is the end times, there's really nothing to worry about, because guess what happens then in that scenario? Nobody makes it out of it, among the living. So why are we concerned? We shouldn't be. It's going to be fine. Anyway, so let's take a look at what happened to the SPY yesterday. We were down 1.38% in the SPY yesterday. Not as bad as on April 4th, but pretty dang bad. I mean, April 4th there's so many Feds talking. The Feds coming out saying that there was going to be no rate cuts was significantly more damaging to the market than the threat of war. So keep that in mind. You can see what the market values and what the market is truly scared of. The market is truly scared of the Fed doing things that are unexpected, much more so than any threat of any type of conflict. Anyways, so that caused significant issues with my clean spark chart. Let's go take a look at the 1 day here. So remember, I was saying this was super bullish candle pattern. This was totally primed to be a bullish day, because CleanSpark came out with some fantastic news yesterday that completely got thrown to the wayside in the face of this global, current events issues. So let's take a look at that news. CleanSpark, April 12th. That was yesterday. That's when we had that big negative day, and also was the day after that amazingly bullish pattern. CleanSpark exceeds 17 exahash as of yesterday, meaning they have increased their hash rate 70% this year. That is amazing. They're going so fast. Honestly, they stay on pace with this by, late May, early June. They're going to outpace Marathon in operating hash rate. That is insane. They might even catch up to and exceed Core Scientific in operating hash rate at this if they continue on with this plan. They're also upgrading their fleet. 100,000 of their miners, they're upgrading them to be more efficient to mine more Bitcoin. So they are on the path, and this is just a bump in the road. And I am not at all deterred by this big red candle that came in after that bullish signal. And of course it happens. As soon as I'm getting super excited and super bullish, a black swan comes floating in and just absolutely decimates it. I'm really tired of these black swan events. They're not supposed to happen this frequently. The last 4 years seems to be absolutely chocked full of them, and it is so frustrating, because you get a day where you're like, yes, this is going to be amazing, and then you get the next day, war were declared, and then it just dumps on you. Oh, that's just brutal. You just have to laugh at it. So really, the usual thing to expect here is some volatility until the news calms down, and then we'll probably continue to see ourselves grind up from here as things soften out, as the conflict gets further into the past, assuming it even happens at all. If it doesn't happen at all, I'm expecting like a big green candle moving us up in just about everything in every way. So really, it's looking pretty bad. And honestly, the news continues to batter us here on the crypto market, which never sleeps. We have gone all the way. If you remember, just like 2 weeks ago, we were like almost at 90% greed. Now we're at 68% in less than 2 days. We were down 3% in the entire crypto market today. My Solana positions have taken a massive hit. They're down over 18%. As in the last 7 days. All of that happened since yesterday. The day before that, we were closing in on 180, 185, and today 143. That is just absolutely brutal. And we had a low. Let me scooch in here. We had a low all the way down at 137, and that's when that news came out about that boat that got seized. So every time we get like a news catalyst about this conflict, we're going to see a big dip. Which honestly, this doesn't really make any sense why that's happening, but okay. I mean, I get it. People get scared. Look at that inverse head and shoulders down there at the bottom of this Solana chart, though. That's pretty sweet. That would take us all the way back up to 147, potentially even all the way up to 151 on this bad boy. That's pretty cool. I did, of course, this is not financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I did buy some Solana yesterday. I was looking at buying more today, but I'm waiting to see if anything else happens this weekend. Taking it back down into the 130s where I will buy some more of that if that does occur. But if you take a look at the crypto market, so many things are down double digits or more. You can see that Ethereum and Bitcoin are starting to bounce back up and recover a little bit. Bitcoin only down 1.5% today, which is not too bad considering yesterday it was down like 4% for a little bit. Ethereum down 3%. It was down in the 2000s yesterday. So, you know, those are bouncing now, and I expect the altcoins to follow suit, assuming there is not further development on this current event. So that's all I got to say about that. Let's take a look at the Bitcoin chart real quick. Bitcoin daily, we are within range. If you notice, we are within range on all of these things. These ascending channels have been on my chart for a while here. We even followed the descending little handle here on the Bitcoin chart. We're in it. We're in range. None of this is concerning. CleanSpark, guess what? We're also in range. We came right up to the top of my descending channel right here. Tapped it, came down. We could come as low as 1398 before, you know, we break out of this big descending channel here without a reversal. So it's all within range. Honestly, let's look at SPY real quick again. I know it's already just on SPY, but look, it's within range. This descending channel has been on my chart for a while. It's been on my chart since late March, and it has stayed in this channel. And guess what? Even this massive bombshell of a Black Swan event, guess what? In range. So I'm not concerned until things break range. I'm really not concerned about this at all. And I will continue my DCA patterns until such a time that I should stop. And that time for me depends really on is my overall thesis proven wrong, or are prices going up so fast that now I'm just sitting back drinking tea and watching. You know, that's what we're doing there. But CleanSpark, man, they came in with such good news. They increased their exahash 70% this year as of yesterday. They are exercising an option to get more efficient miners to get that exahash even higher, mining even more Bitcoin. They are going to overtake Marathon at this rate. They are likely to overtake Core Scientific at this rate in hash rate terms, and eventually output of Bitcoin terms. They are just absolutely doing everything that I want them to be doing. There was some other news also that came out, not yesterday, but the day before, I believe it was, that they canceled an ATM offering. Now, this was an old one. This was an old one. It's not the new ones. It's not the $1.3 billion that they just took out this year. This is one from 2022 that they never used. So keep that in mind. Like, they can issue these ATMs and then just never use them, and then cancel them when it comes, you know, to the time that they haven't used it. It's time to get rid of it. So they could not use them, and that's fine. And I mean, we should have had more of a rally off of the fact that they canceled an old ATM that they never diluted us with, and that they increased their hash rate another, you know, up to 17 exahash now. We should have had a rally yesterday if not for this news. So that's all I'm trying to say there with that. Let's take a look at the weekly close. The weekly close was bad. Let's just be real. It was bad. It was bad. We closed beneath the weekly candle from the week before. This doesn't look good. Of course, this is all because of that news. Once this news starts to even out and calm down, I expect to see these candles come back in up to the $17, $18 range here. Now, if it continues to get bad, if this evolves further, we are coming down. We're going to come down to that 1350 level immediately. And then probably down to 11 or even $10 if this news continues. If the United States ends up in a direct conflict, we are going to come down much lower before we go up. That is just the reality that these news events tend to cause the market to do a pretty big drop immediately, and then once things start to calm down, or the general public loses interest because they have their short attention span, things start to even out and go back up. So I'm not deterred. I'm not concerned. I'm going to continue on with my plans. I still think that this was bullish, and I was confirmed that that was bullish with that amazing news that CleanSpark dropped yesterday. It was just completely frustrated by outside forces that were unforeseen. That's all. Let's take a look at Bitfarms. Bitfarms also had some really good news yesterday, and they also got punished pretty dramatically as soon as it came out. They didn't really have a bullish chart pattern coming on the Bitfarms chart, but you can see that it came all the way down to 179. It's in my little box here now. This is the accumulation zone if you wanted to pick up some more Bitfarms. Now, take a look here. Bitfarms yesterday, April 12th, they reached 7 exahash with the completion of their fleet upgrade. They're also working on some other upgrades to increase their efficiency as well. That was also part of some of this news in here. This is pretty amazing. Q2 2024, they're gonna add more than 30,000 additional T21s to their fleet. They are going to get towards that 12 exahash goal here for the second half of 2024 as we go into the year. So Bitfarms had great news as well. They are executing their plan. The CEO news, once they solve the CEO crisis that they're having right now in terms of just finding that new CEO, and they keep executing on these growth plans that they have, Bitfarms has a pretty bright future despite that big sell-off that BlackRock did on them last month. Now that could have happened at the highs, which honestly, good job on them, I guess. How can we complain? Like they could have been selling somewhere up near like 270, almost $3 on this thing. And then now they could be buying again here in the next couple of months under $2. That's a pretty sick swing, if you ask me. But this also had that news, had great news, dropped over 5% yesterday, even though they just had amazing news that they are working on and executing on their growth plans. This, again, news, completely news related. Let's move on to Bit Digital, because Bit Digital is doing something interesting. Bit Digital, they didn't have any news that I was aware of, but they came right to the bottom of the megaphone. If you come and look at here, they are at the bottom of the megaphone. We drew this all the way back here in January. Well, we didn't draw it in January. Actually, we drew it in early February, like mid-February. Excuse me. Just keep lying to you. I'm sorry. It came to the bottom of it twice, the top of it 3 times. It tapped the bottom a third time here back in mid-March. Failed to get up the midway point there. Came back down to tap it a 4th time now. It hasn't broken through. If it breaks through, we're going to have a really, really bad time. We're going to, geez, if this thing breaks through, we're going down to like 150 on Bit Digital. But it stopped, like it hit a brick wall. Even in the face of like this horrific news, it stopped right at the bottom of this descending channel and right on the line for the megaphone as if it just smacked into a brick wall. We are oversold on the RSI. This volume candle for yesterday, not as big as the previous volume for selling off on Bit Digital. I don't hate this. If this thing were to turn around, the only thing in our way, we have 240 where we run into resistance from this head and shoulders. Also, this head and shoulders here, we completed it. It's done. We came to the bottom of that head and shoulders pattern. It has played out. It has no more gas to feed into that movement down. So that head and shoulders is played out on the daily chart, the small one that we've got here. If we can get above this descending channel, if we can get above the midline of this thing, and something else to notice about Bit Digital, this is a little technical thing here. This descending channel, notice how since April 2nd, we have been in a very tight pattern moving down. This is controlled selling. This right here is what controlled selling looks like. You can see it over here as well. Right here, here to here. This channel right here as well, that's also controlled selling. Same right here, controlled selling. What happens after controlled selling? After controlled selling is done, big up, big up. So that's what we're looking at right here, controlled selling. As soon as we get a candle that breaks out of this controlled selling, and if you look at this one right here, ended on this big bad boy here that went up 18%. This controlled selling algorithm right here, that ended with a big bad boy going up 12.76%. When this thing breaks, this controlled selling algorithm right here, when this thing breaks, it's going to break when it gets above the midline here, which is 225 currently. When it gets above that, we're looking at a 12 to 20% pop. So, and that'll be from the bottom, which would be somewhere like right here, I want to say. We're looking for a 12 to 20%, right? So let's go maximum. We'd be looking 250. It would pop up to 250. Low end, we'd be looking at 234 on Bit Digital when this thing pops up. And that should be followed by some continuation afterwards. But this right here is a perfect textbook example. You know, screenshot this, study this, learn what this looks like. This is a textbook example of controlled selling. Now, they also do controlled buying on the way down. That's a thing too. But this is very tightly pattern controlled selling right here. And when this breaks, it's going to be explosive. So that's pretty cool for Bit Digital. Let's take a look at their earnings date. Their earnings date is going to be April 25th. That's not quite enough for us to get much data for after the halving, because the halving is next Friday. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be a fun celebratory video. I think I'll be trying to get that done as soon as possible, maybe even live. We'll see. I don't know if I can get the time, because that is during when I would normally be at work. So I'd have to see if I can actually get that time off in order to do it. But if not, then so be it. I'll just make a video afterwards. If so, I will be there right when it happens. Let's take a look at the weekly here for Bit Digital. Actually, the weekly was bad, just like with everything. It was bad. It was really, really bad. We are getting a bottom on the VIX fix for the Bit Digital weekly chart here. If we break below that megaphone, we're going to have a real bad time and come to the bottom of this descending channel, likely, which is sitting right now around 160. That'd be pretty bad. That'd be brutal. If we break our way up, we need to get up and above $3. Again, $3 is really that mark that we need to get above and hold above on Bit Digital before we see some epic runs on this bad boy. So that's that. So let's take a look at Marathon. What's Marathon doing? So this is their weekly close. We'll start with their weekly since it's already open. We came right to the bottom of the top of this little box down here between 16.18 and 14.66. There is a very good chance we're going to come to the bottom of this. If you remember, my chart used to have one of these going up like this. That's not right. That's not how it was. That's not how I did it. Give me a second. It was like this, that one, and like this. I had a chart like this, right? We broke out of that ascending channel, so I deleted it because that's been broken. It's done now. It's not there anymore. It's not protecting us anymore. Now we have this other ascending channel, this big, big one that's been going on since January 3rd, 2023. And if this plays out, I do think that we could come to the bottom of that channel here very soon if we continue to get bad news. And that bottom of that channel is going to be around 1430. So we'll come through this little box to the very bottom of it. And I think that's where we may get a big hard reversal on Marathon Digital finally, after such a long time of just absolute brutal selling on this thing. Once we get to that 1430 level, I do think that the chart will start to improve. We may scoop below it like we did back here in October 2023. We might scoop below it in like May and June as those are pretty weak months usually. And then like late June, July, we'll just see an absolute rocket up here coming into the end of July probably. So that's what I'm looking at for Mara right now. Let's take a look at the daily. How's the daily looking? The daily is oversold, so that's not terrible. You can see that we came into this box, wicked, and then stopped right at the top of it. You can also see that we went down from the top of this descending channel that I've drawn here on the chart. The bottom of this descending channel going into next week, or Monday actually, is 1459, which is right on that line. That is some confluence there, so that's pretty nice to see that confluence showing that that could potentially actually be where the bottom lies. We'll see when it comes there or not, but this is just catastrophic. It's pretty bad what just happened here. Let's take a look at RIOT. Can RIOT be saved? RIOT is down over 6, almost 7% on Friday. RIOT's just doing really, really bad. It looks like we are very likely going to come down to the 850 level on RIOT and potentially even down to 691 into the high fives on RIOT if this thing does not improve, and I mean soon. It might stay down there for a short period of time and then start curling up when Bitcoin starts really kicking off. Now this is short term. All this bleakness that I'm expressing here, this is all short term. 6 months from now, I'm expecting these things to be back up at their highs, their cycle highs in the 20s and above, maybe even the 30s. Like by Christmas, I am expecting that. Of course, this is not financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. All this bad news I am explaining and all of these potential downfalls I am going through right now are all, in my mind, short term. I am not expecting them to remain at these lows for very long. These, in my mind, are an opportunity, and I'm looking for where's the bottom in order to buy a bag for the ride up, for the epic ride up that is coming. They report on May 8th, so we'll have April production numbers by then. We will know at least 10 or more days of Bitcoin production after the halving in that report. So that would be really great for us coming forward into Riot. And if it looks good, you better believe Riot's coming right back up into this $13 range. Also, if this news calms down, we'd be expecting it to come back up to this $11 to $13 range on Riot. Let's take a look at the weekly close. I believe the weekly was bad as well, just like with everything else. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. Pretty bad couple of weeks here. Yeah, we're just sitting right at the bottom of this move. This could be a confirmed double top, which if this is a confirmed double top, which we cross the midline of that at 967, we're currently at 910. If that is confirmed, we could fall all the way down to about that $7 to $6 range, where I'm expecting us to kind of turn around there because that is the bottom of this descending channel. And I do think we might actually get there, but it would have to be really fast because once the halving happens and once Bitcoin starts to pick up steam again, we are looking at a big, massive push up in like all crypto related assets once that starts to happen. So it would have to happen fast or not at all, is basically what I'm saying here for that. So that's Riot. Let's see, what else did I want to look at? Cipher warrants, maybe? Let's see what's going on with the warrants. Cipher warrants, getting close, getting real close to my little buy zone there. I really want to see this come down to that 97. I actually changed it to 92 cents and lowered it to 500 because I do plan on buying some Cipher call options here pretty soon, maybe on Monday if things continue to deteriorate. That would be a good thing for me to do. I don't, you make your own decisions. This is not financial advice, not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. This is what I'm looking at for the warrants. Yeah, I really want to see it come down to like that 97 to 92 cent range, maybe even wick down to like 83 cents. The fact that it didn't do it with that really bad news that came out yesterday makes me think that maybe 97 might be the top, and I might have to readjust that going forward if I want to catch that train. But this was a bear flag, and it was confirmed yesterday. If we hold beneath $1.05 here on the warrants, that is a confirmed bear flag, and will likely come down into like that 93, 94 cent range, get into the midline of this ascending channel, which we have bounced off of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times already. So I do think we'll come back to the midline of this ascending channel at least one more time, which would be in the 94 to 92 cent range here in the next couple of days if it does it. So that's why I put my my buy order around like 92, 93 cents, is because it's come down to this midline of this ascending channel several times already. I don't see any reason, especially with this bear flag confirming, I don't see any reason for it not to do it again. So with that said, please, one, don't panic. And then like, comment, and subscribe, and have a profitable day.